You can find more from the Liquid Lunch crew on social media. Visit us at Liquid Lunch TV on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. It's Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. Just a quarter past the top of the hour, noon Eastern. High noon on Friday, Freaky Friday also. Ton of great guests coming at you today. As we come to you right now live from the Question Tequila Studios, high atop the financial district of the world, across from the New York Stock Exchange, the Dow Jones is just inching up on breaking through 26,000, 25,987. I think through 26,000 on a Friday will be a nice follow through on Monday, and things could start happening. God forbid Mexico comes to the table Monday and there's no tariffs. This market could rocket from here. Bitcoin, same thing. Almost at 9,000, got beat down a little bit. Now it's at 7,900 and change. I think through 8,000, there's a lot less resistance this time that Bitcoin could have a nice move to the upside. A nice move for us is to bring in experts who know where the rubber meets the road. And today we have another one for you. It's Mike Chase joins us. Mike, thanks for coming down to Liquid Lunch. Appreciate it. Mike's a criminal defense attorney, and he's also the author of a great book that I hopefully don't read because I don't want to, but it's How to Be a Federal Criminal. And it outlines all the quirky, crazy, nutty little things that the government could effectively arrest you for. Federal crimes, right? And Mike, thanks for joining us on Liquid Lunch. Of course, as always, my co-producer, managing editor, Frank Morano, joins us. You had a terrific op-ed in the New York Post the other day talking about, does anybody even understand what obstruction means? I've been saying on the show for a while that I've been citing this case of Orlando Bouquet, who was in jail. He escaped jail, and 12 years later on the lam, he was caught, but his DNA eliminated him. And the prosecutors just say, well, he wasn't guilty in the first place, so they don't bring charges against him for escaping jail. And I feel like that's the case here on obstruction. There was no crime. How did you obstruct it?
Yeah, you're talking about something that a lot of folks have touched on, which is this notion that if there's no underlying crime, should you really be able to be guilty of obstruction of justice? What are you obstructing? And I think that's the question that Attorney General Barr was touching on in his memo, where he says, hey, look, the president has legal authority to do what he wants to do in terms of administering the executive branch Department of Government.
Right.
And so when you do that, you may make some decisions that there's a meritless investigation going on and you want to shut it down.
If I know I didn't do it, right? If I have the executive decision making, I know I did not rob that bank.
Right.
But the DOJ wants to come and investigate me, and I say to you, my Attorney General, I know I didn't do it. Get these guys out of here. Shut them down, whatever you got to do. What did I obstruct? I just saved the taxpayers $30 million, which should have happened, I think.
I mean, think about it like a private company, for example. You're the CEO of a private corporation, and you've got an investigations unit at your company, and somebody comes to you and they say, hey, we've decided that we're going to open an investigation into you for months and months and months on whether or not you're like illegally breeding chickens in your bedroom closet. And you go, that's ridiculous. Why are we going to spend company money on doing something like that? Well, you say, you're fired. You're all fired because you're wasting company resources. That's essentially what the president has done, right? And he says, I'm shutting down an executive branch investigation that I think is a waste of time. The problem is that there are many, many, many federal statutes that say you can't do that if it's the feds.
Frankie does all the hard work, reads the books and underlines and highlights everything for me, and I kind of...
Only on this show is reading considered hard work.
Yeah. He says, you must read this, and sends me some stuff, but you had some funny things in the book.
Well, this book is eye-opening. I mean, for instance, it can be, according to one section of the criminal code, all national park visitors have to comply with pet excrement disposal conditions, which means in most parks that failing to throw away your dog's poop is a federal crime. Now, we can all agree it's rude. We can all agree it's not something that should be done. But should that really be a federal crime? And I guess the question is, Mike, is how did we get to a place where we have so many criminal laws?
Yeah, so the way that occurs is that Article 1, Section 1 of the United States Constitution basically says Congress and Congress alone is supposed to create all of the federal crimes on the books. But what they ended up doing over the years is they said, look, we're more interested in partisan bickering and wasting time and not getting anything done. We're going to give all that rulemaking authority to executive branch agencies. And so basically unelected bureaucrats issue hundreds of thousands of rules that Congress says, yeah, you know what, anybody who violates any of those, they're a federal criminal. And that's how you end up with 300,000, 500,000, whoever knows how many 100,000 federal crimes that there can be on the books. And I go through a bunch of them.
So we're all criminals. We're all breaking some law, right?
Look,
Well, I just drew this.
oh my gosh, I can't look at that.
So I think, as poorly drawn as it is, that's actually a drawing of the Pentagon, which I didn't realize, but is actually a crime. You're not allowed
that
to
a
draw
crime?
the Pentagon.
I mean, I will say the bottom is a lot flatter than the rest of it. So
Well,
I'm
I
not
was
sure
kind
it's
of thinking about home plate.
Yeah.
In a
Oh,
baseball
okay.
game,
Right.
You know, that's a Pentagon of sorts
Well,
as well.
there is a law in the books that says that if you draw the Pentagon, you sketch it, draw it, take a photo of it, that's punishable as a federal crime. Now, I think you probably have to be at the Pentagon to do it, but yeah.
There you go. No, but Mike, there's nobody that runs for office, Congress or any other office, on a platform of making more stuff legal, except maybe marijuana.
Right.
But so how do we get out of this situation? It seems like it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, you have to stop treating politicians as successful based on the number of laws that they pass. You know, you go into a primary debate season, we're going to see it in a couple of months here, where people are going to say, what did you get done in Congress? And I would say getting something done in Congress is not just how many laws you pass, but maybe how many you get rid of and how clear you make the code. So, you know, we all are bound by the law. Congress doesn't even understand the laws that it writes. But I think what lawmakers should be judged by is how clear they make the code and how easy it is for us to understand.
Is it ever legal to mail a mongoose?
You are not allowed to mail a mongoose.
No, do not mail any mongoose.
Yeah, it's
Mongai. Mongo.
mongoose and then another mongoose is the
Got it.
easiest way to say it. Yeah.
Mongooses.
They're kind of nasty creatures anyway. I don't think you want to.
All right, don't mail any. And what's the penalty for clogging a toilet in a national forest?
So it's probably 6 months in federal prison.
6 months. You got to do
and-
85% of your sentence.
Yeah, you do, and I will tell you that they'll probably put you in a room without a toilet because you can't be trusted. But you have to remember that the way the law is drafted, it is even accidental toilet cloggings are criminal prosecutions. And so if you end up with a clogged toilet by accident on summer vacation in a national forest, you're going to be in trouble.
The scary thing about this is, I mean, it's funny, and this book is brilliantly illustrated, and it's a lot of fun, but the scary thing about this is, if the lesson here is if a prosecutor, particularly a federal prosecutor, wants to go after you, they will be able to find a way to indict you, or at the very least, they'll find a way to bankrupt you. Now, you see what Donald Trump, the most powerful guy in the world, has gone on with for 2.5 years. What hope does anybody have of surviving being in the crosshairs of a federal prosecutor?
It's true, and I'm going to sound a little bit like Alan Dershowitz for a minute, but the truth is that for a long time, when a president's being investigated, or any person is being investigated, forget the president, any person's being investigated for 2 years and has a dozen prosecutors looking at him, the likelihood that a crime could not be found just by sheer volume of the crimes is very low. And so if somebody's politically motivated and wants to use the criminal process in order to punish a political opponent or enemy, they have virtually a blank check
This is
to do that.
happening right now. I mean, our good friend, the friend of the show, he's been on the show, Roger Stone, was apparently, allegedly, in the middle of this whole WikiLeaks thing, and he was but there was no crime found. But yet Roger is still being prosecuted. And for those of you who watch our weekly show, What's the Deal? Sundays at 1, returning to Newsmax June 30th. We talk about Roger Stone all the time, and don't forget about the Roger Stone Defense Fund.com. If you can help him out, he's got millions of dollars of legal fees. And the people they were investigating that got him caught, everybody's off. But Roger Stone's still going to trial. Isn't that crazy?
Well, I mean, the truth is, look, the rule of law is important in the country. Obviously, there are harmful wrongs. Really, people do things that harm other people, harm the economy, things like that. But at the end of the day, if you get arrested or investigated for some ticky-tack thing, you could rack up hundreds of thousands of legal fees, and you could bankrupt yourself completely.
And the lawyer gets a watch like that. That's a fine watch right there.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was a
Thank
great
you.
segment. Appreciated having you on. We try to tell you what's happening. Bring you to people that know where the rubber meets the road. Don't draw the Pentagon. Don't mail any mongoose. Okay? But stay right there. Daniel Turner is coming up next. We're going to mix it up, talk some politics, talk about Joe Biden, and maybe another Biden-Bernie fight back after this.